If you've been wondering whether you can use fresh milled flour in your sourdough starter, good news, yes, you absolutely can. In fact, that's how I bake every single week. But there's a few important things that you need to know before you dive in, because fresh milled flour behaves differently than store-bought. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through exactly what works, what doesn't, and how to start your own thriving starter with fresh milled flour day one. I'm going to show you the best flour to use, how to feed it, and the number one mistake most bakers make when switching over. If you want a strong, reliable sourdough starter with fresh milled flour, the first thing I always look for is the flour being used. My go-to for feeding a starter is hard red wheat. And that's not because I read it somewhere, it's because I've tested it over and over again in my own kitchen. Hard red wheat is a high protein grain, which gives your starter more structure and strength. It ferments beautifully, it creates consistent activity, and it holds up really well over time. When I feed my starter with hard red, I know exactly what to expect. A good rise, steady bubbles, and healthy rhythm. Now, you can switch flours, absolutely, and I do. But when consistency matters, especially when you're building and maintaining a starter, I prefer to stick with a high protein grain like hard red wheat. Every time I've bounced around too much with lower protein flours, I've noticed more inconsistency in the rise and the timing. That doesn't mean that other flours are bad. It just means that your starter will change when the flour changes. And that's important to know so that you don't think something's gone wrong. This is one of those things that just comes from experience, not just reading about sourdough, but actually living with it in a busy kitchen. So really, one of the biggest things that trip people up when switching to fresh milled flour is fermentation time. And trust me, it matters, because when you're using whole grain flour, your sourdough starter is going to behave differently than when you feed it with an all-purpose flour. It ferments faster and it has a stronger aroma, and it's much more active. This is great for flavor and nutrition, but it means that you can't just treat it like a store-bought flour starter. The biggest mistake that I see is that people feed their fresh milled flour and wait 8 to 12 hours like they're used to, only to find that their starter has peaked and then deflated before they actually get to use it. With my starter, I actually see it double within 3 to 4 hours. Sometimes even faster if I leave it near a warm appliance, like my slow cooker. So how do you know if your sourdough starter is ready to use in a recipe? Well, you're gonna look for these signs. One, it needs to be bubbly and has doubled in size. A lot of times it will pass a float test where a spoonful floats in water. It should smell tangy but sort of pleasant, not too sour or overly strong. Really, timing is everything. And that's why inside my course, Grains to Loaf, I show you step by step how to build and maintain a fresh milled starter from day one, even if you've never done it before. You'll learn what to look for, when to feed it, and how to use it with confidence. There will be no guessing and no wasting, just fresh flour, thriving starters, and real results. So one of the best things that you can do in the beginning is to develop a rhythm. Feed your starter around the same time each day and use the same type of flour. Stick to the same ratio, and that builds familiarity and confidence. Your starter doesn't actually need variety, it just needs stability. A lot of beginners worry that something's wrong when the starter seems sluggish or inconsistent, but the truth is that with regular feedings and a simple routine, it will stabilize on its own. So you just have to trust the process. So let's talk a little bit about discard for a second. I know the idea of throwing out flour might feel wasteful, especially when you're grinding it yourself. But discard is actually not a bad thing. It's actually my favorite part of sourdough. And that discard that you would be tempted to throw away is actually gold when it comes to quick and easy recipes. I'll show you how to use it in everything from pancakes to cookies so you can stretch your ingredients and get even more goodness from your starter. If you're ready to stop Googling and start baking with confidence, my video course, Grains to Loaf, was made for you. It's a go at your own pace course that shows you exactly how to bake with sourdough and fresh milled flour, from creating your starter to pulling your very first golden loaf out of the oven. Whether you're totally new or you just want a simple step-by-step system, this course is going to walk you through the whole process. You can grab it in the link below and get started today.